NFL Week 4 is here. We're going to hit on all those primetime games, including that doubleheader on Monday Night Football. We're going to check in with VR, see what he's got for the Steam report. Those barking dogs are going to keep on barking this week. Is the deli still open? It's been red hot. Maybe Marco is going to mix it up and give us a trap game. And of course, we're going to follow it all up with those best bets on the next episode of Bet On It. Kelly Stewart here with Marco D'Angelo and Gianni the Greek. Good morning to all of you out there on the West Coast. It's a beautiful day, and it's NFL Week 4. I know I'm pretty happy because I went 4-1 last week in my Super Contest plays, and the one loser was just that, Marco. Plain ugly, and that came to the hands of the Seattle Seahawks. I played against them thinking, hey, short week, divisional game on deck Thursday Night Football, but I was dead wrong. That game got out of control, and it got out of control early. Now Seattle heads to Arizona as a 1.5-point favorite on Thursday night, total 43.5. Talk to me about why you like the home underdog here.
Well, Kelly, everybody's going to overreact to, what they saw with Seattle winning in a blowout. The week before that, they went on the road in Pittsburgh. So now all of a sudden, Seattle is a world beater. Let's just pump the brakes there. Arizona, put them on that long list of teams last week that took a gut punch at the end of the game. I mean, I can't remember an NFL Sunday where more games were decided on final plays of the game, and we had some absolutely bizarre endings to these games, and Arizona was one of them. They were in position to beat San Francisco in a key division game, and generally speaking, when you lose a game like that, you worry about losing the same game twice. But the fact that this game is back at home, it is a Thursday night, it is a division game, and it is a game that they absolutely need. I mean, obviously, anytime you're playing a division game, the need is there for both teams. But given the fact that they lost last week to San Francisco, a division opponent, this makes this game a little bit more sense of urgency for Arizona, because if you lose to both of your division rivals out of the gate, it's going to put you behind the 8 ball for the rest of the season, looking up at those other teams. Arizona did struggle to move the ball last week, as it was a low-scoring game, but let's not confuse the Seattle defense with the San Francisco defense. We know the 49ers have had their problems on offense this year because of all of the injuries, but that is still a very stout defense with the 49ers. Seattle has had back-to-back easy wins, as I alluded to, and part of it was, one, they played probably one of the two worst teams in the NFL this year, the Saints, and then the week before, you talk about gift wrapping a game for them. That's what the Pittsburgh Steelers did. Now they've got to play on a short week on the road. We know that the home team has the advantage on these Thursday night games on the short week. Now, given that it is a division game, that is neutralized a little bit because you know your opponent well. You face them twice a year. I'm not going to buy into the Sam Darnold experience just yet. Let's see what he does in a primetime game. We've seen him hear footsteps and see ghosts and everything else in big games before. And for Arizona, they did suffer a little bit of a setback last week offensively as they lost James Conner, the running back, for the rest of the season, which means Kyler Murray's going to have to step it up. And by stepping it up, I mean we're going to need both his arm and his legs in this one, and I think he can get that job done. I'm going to take the home team here. I think we've seen this line cross over, and that's because of what people saw last. We've seen, history has shown us that's a mistake when you overreact to one ball game. Arizona opened a favorite and now is a slight underdog. I am on Arizona in this one. I think they get the job done, and I'm sure later in the week, VR will be talking about it. If this line stays the way it is and gets to that 1.5 or 2 on the Seattle side, you know that there'll be teasers with Arizona as well for me on Sunday. or excuse me, on Thursday if we stayed till Thursday, hooking with something till Sunday. But it's Arizona 24-20 for Thursday night, and I'll have them in teasers.
All right, guys, appreciate you hanging out with us here every single week on Bet On It. And if you like the show, give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. Something you want to see done differently, drop it in the comment section. Love a play, hate it, tell us all about it. We'll all jump in the comment section and get in there with you guys. Let's go Sunday Night Football. Green Bay now up to a 7-point favorite at Dallas. Total 47.5. And I had to go to my friends at the Gold Sheet for this one. By the way, the Gold Sheet right now, $9 for everyone. No coupon code required. WT.buzz/GTS. And the reason why I went to the Gold Sheet is because if you guys remember last week, I told you to take Cleveland. And this is the exact same situation they gave me to play Cleveland. But this week is a play on the Cowboys. When playing in the first half of the season, home underdogs of at least 7 points have gone 19-1-2 over against the spread over the last 3 seasons. Now, I know a lot of you guys are going to go, oh, Kelly, you're too optimistic on this Cowboys team. George Pickens was supposed to be great. He was supposed to complement CeeDee Lamb, who's now out for the next 3 to 4 weeks. They've got injuries on the offensive line. Diggs wasn't able to finish against Chicago. That defense got gashed by Caleb Williams and the Bears. But Javonte Williams is able to get the running game going. I do think that the Cowboys' offensive line is going to be better this week against the Packers. I know it looks scary to take a team that just got the crap beat out of them by a mediocre Bears team, but this is the spot to take them here at home. Make sure you get the 7, shop around, and hey, maybe this one even gets to 7.5, and you can tease down the Packers and hope for that middle and hit both sides. VR, we're going to let you start off with the first Monday Night Football game. The Jets are a 3-point underdog at Miami, and the total is 3.5.
Yeah, 5-3-1 heading into this week on the show. Hopefully we turn a little profit this week. This is going to be a tough one to bet, but I see absolutely no reason to not take the Jets on Monday night. This is one of those coin flips that you get plus money on. Again, it's hard to argue for either of these teams, so I don't want to waste a lot of your time, but you're looking at 2 teams that have allowed a ton of points defensively. So look at the under for sure, especially with the recency bias on both of them. But with that said, the difference is, number one, you look at the passing success rate. These quarterbacks are right next to each other. Make sure you check to see that, Taylor starting for the Jets because of the injury situation. But so far, it's pretty much confirmed that he will. But just make sure of it. With that said, again, passing success rate, they're right next to each other, 45.3 and 46.4. Okay. The biggest difference between these 2 teams has the Jets could realistically be a 2-1 football team. Both of their losses come by a combined 4 points. There's a lot of randomness involved with that, whether it's turnovers, penalties. But when you have 2 losses by a combined 4 points, again, the Jets on paper are better than their record reflects. And that's the kind of team you want to back, especially in the dog position, where a team like Miami, 0-3, they've underperformed against the betting market. There's absolutely 0 reasons you should get excited about wanting to lay points with Miami. You're more or less paying for the name because and the fate of the Jets, where we're just so conditioned to expect the Jets to just suck. And they do at 0-3, but the Dolphins are not any better, also sitting in 0-3. And again, well underperforming the betting market. So yeah, I like the Jets. I think this is a money line bet. Again, it's a key of 3 key numbers, so you got to take it. But I think it's a coin flip game. Miami's got less than a 2-point home field advantage. So I just don't see why they're that key 3 favorite. Give me the Jets as the TV pick for the week.
All right, Marco D'Angelo. This is going to be an interesting one. Speaking of teaser spots, Cincinnati up to a 7.5-point underdog at Denver, 44.5 here. Talk to me about why you like the under.
Yeah, Kelly, talk about a teaser spot. How many teasers are going to be tied to Denver, getting them down to 1.5? I think this line will probably go up during the week as they try to get the teaser blocker in play to slow that down, because there'll be so many teasers tied to Monday night and money line parlays to the Broncos. And why not? Because the public's going to look at Cincinnati and they just remember the last thing they saw. And the last thing they saw was Cincinnati just absolutely get blown out in Minnesota, 48-10. I enjoyed that one. That was our best bet here on the show last week. Minnesota, we had a good 5-1 with the big 6 plays between the college and NFL show. So let's keep it going this week. But I look at this one in Cincinnati, they are going to be up against it. Now, that score last week, yeah, they got killed, but 5 turnovers are going to do that. You go on the road and you turn the ball over 5 times, you're going to get blown out, and that's what happened. Cincinnati has had 0 running game through the first 3 games. They've rushed the ball for 46, 48, and 53 yards. I don't care who your quarterback is. When you are that one-dimensional, you're going to have problems moving the football. Now throw in that you've got backup quarterback because Joe Burrow's out. This offense is going to struggle. So why don't I just go ahead and take Denver and lay the points, because they should blow them out? Well, Denver's in a bad scheduling spot. They're coming off not 1, but 2 gut-wrenching losses back-to-back weeks. If you remember 2 weeks ago, they looked like they had the game won against Indianapolis when Indianapolis missed the game-winning field goal. Oh, wait, there was a penalty. Indy got to kick it again and won it on the second kick. Then last week, they're winning the whole game against the Chargers. Chargers come back, tie it, win on the final play of the game, field goal once again. So, yeah, 2 devastating losses. And, oh, by the way, look at who they play next week. They've got a game with the defending champs, the Philadelphia Eagles. And, oh, that game's on the road, off a short week on a Monday night. And that's going to be their 3rd road game in 4 weeks to start the season. That's pretty tough schedule for the Broncos. So what am I alluding to? I'm alluding to that the coach, Sean Payton's going to want to get in and get out as quickly as possible. I see them running the football. And if you look at this Denver offense, Bo Nix, he's suffering the sophomore jinx. There's no question about that. They have not moved the football. You don't want to lay over a touchdown with a team that in their 3 games so far has scored 20, 28, and 20 points. That's not a recipe for laying over a touchdown, but I don't trust the Bengals enough to grab them. So I'm going to go under the total in this one. I don't see Cincinnati having success against the stellar Denver defense. And with the struggles that the Broncos have had and being satisfied with shortening the game and getting out and getting on to next week in the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm going to go under the total here, Kelly. Let's take this one under the 44.5.
All right, let's get right into the Steam Report VR. oddslogic.com/Kelly in Vegas. If you guys are looking to sign up, you get a free week here if you guys use my promo code. So make sure you do that. And if not, like VR said, use the WagerTalk free live odds page. VR, I'd like to ask you a question before you get into the NFL Steam Report for week 4. What should people do with this information?
Exactly what I do with it. I already have put in my work. So I have everything circled on what I like, my sides and my totals. And then I wait for the information to come in to see what the groups that I provide accounts for are betting. When they come in and bet one of the sides that I like, now I know, gives me the confidence to release it as a premium play to my subscribers, gives me the confidence to add more risk for myself, because I already get a percentage of the accounts that I bet for them. But these kind of plays I bet more on for myself, like considered premium plays. And I recommend that the bettors out there do the exact same thing. You don't have to agree with everything. In fact, you should disagree with a lot of it, but it's what you agree on that you want to be getting down on. And more importantly, you want to make sure it's at the number as well, because again, if they're laying -3 and now it's -4.5, it's no longer the same bet. So it's all different pieces of the puzzle. But when you put those pieces together, when it all falls nicely, you get the perfect picture and you cash a ticket. So that's how the information's been valuable to me. That's why I tell my subscribers the exact same thing. And with the Steam Room, I give enough volume that you don't have to piggyback everything. So as long as it's the numbers there, you're getting a good number and you agree with it, then you should have the confidence you're placing a good plus EV bet. Again, it's been good in the NFL so far. In the regular season, we didn't have a good preseason, which is rare. Usually preseasons when the betting syndicates do good. They just did not have a good season this year, at least the ones that I work with. But the regular season has been good. It's put me at #1 in profit at WagerTalk so far, so I'll take it. So far this week, it's a little slow. Most of the action, as I talked about on WagerTalk today and on last call, comes in later in the week with the NFL. Injury report is very key with a lot of the NFL steam. And more importantly, very little of the volume is on sides and totals. The majority of the money starts coming in on those team totals, first quarter bets, second half bets, first half bets. Those smaller market derivatives is where they do the majority of the damage. But here are some of the sides and totals that they got out ahead of for this week. 251 Minnesota, the look ahead at 2.5. Again, the limits are low, but they took the 2.5. And here's what you want to look through, follow through. They followed through and also laid the 1.5 with Minnesota. That's as legit as you're going to get. 253 Philadelphia, laid the 2.5 look ahead and laid the key 3. Another key number they laid. 267 Jacksonville, San Francisco, laid the over 45 look ahead, follow through, went over 46 as well. That's opposite the public. I almost used that, but I wasn't able to get that 46. And at 47, I said, let me wait till Sunday. Public money may push that down because I'm already seeing under money there. 276 Green Bay, the look ahead, 4.5, got the 6, and then laid the 6.5 after the weekend, and also under 48 there. And finally, Monday night, key number, no surprise, 280 Denver Broncos, -6, 6.5 was the look ahead, and then the 7 when it opened up. That's why you're looking at 7.5s right now. But pay attention and see later in the week or game day, more importantly, especially if the books need teaser protection and bump this up to that 9 range, then rest assured, those that laid the 6, 6.5 should come back and attempt the middle with the other side.
VR, I want to follow up on that really quickly, just because I've heard people tell me that these lines don't matter, right? So the Superbook puts out a graphic late August, and I like to use it for Survivor, right? Here's what the lines would have been. Here's what the lines are now. And you mentioned the look ahead line. So this line for the Packers game was Green Bay -1.5, right? Let's call it August 25th. Then you mentioned the look ahead was 4.5. Green Bay loses to Cleveland. Dallas, it was 14-14 in the second quarter. They just never scored again. Their defense gave up some long bombs to Caleb Williams. Now the line's up to 7. Should we just completely discredit that line from August?
Yeah. Great question. Because usually if that was the case, it would be dog or pass right now. For us, as looking for plus EV bets, it would be impossible for us to look at the Green Bay side if thinking just a few weeks ago, I could have laid -1, but that's a completely different market. It's a completely different time. And the objective of those bettors is also different. Like a lot of those guys that did get down on Green Bay, it wasn't even a handicap of Green Bay. It was a handicap of where that line's going to be when game day rolls around. And obviously they were correct, those that laid the Green Bay. But the limits are smaller. It's not like universal worldwide. So I don't put a lot of stock in it because they're just so off a lot of times. Like some are pretty close and pretty accurate, but you see it in college football all the time where there's 6, 7, 8 point differences by week 4, 5, or 6, just because things don't play out the way we project them, especially in football where there's just so many injuries and just so many different factors in play. You know, there's so many pieces of a puzzle of a football team. And I think you shouldn't put too much stock on those August numbers. Don't let that stop you from betting a team and thinking like, oh, dude, that now it's a 6-point line movement. No, it's a line movement off the look ahead, not off the August number.
Awesome stuff. Let's get into those barking dogs. This has been our best segment, at least as a trio. Marco's Deli has been very, very good. VR has been cashing those best bets. Me, not so much. But I have been nailing these barking dogs. Marco, last week, let's talk about it. Last week, you would have used this team for the Deli, right?
Yeah.
Why are you using him this week as a barking dog?
Well, we want to get a dog that we think has a good shot of winning outright. And this is a team, could have been a sandwich spot as well this week, and I'll explain later, but I've got a better game when we get to it later and tell you why we're using that one. But full disclosure, okay, let's start this with Jacksonville. And I've got to say, the Jacksonville Jaguars have been a colossal pain in my ass, okay? 2 weeks ago, I go against them with Cincinnati, and Cincinnati did everything but win that game. They go up and down the field. Turnovers end up killing them at the end, and we lose that game. The only time that we weren't covering it in the final 18 seconds. Then last week, what happens? Well, I go against Jacksonville. I've got Houston, and that, full disclosure, was my 5% play. The score was tied 10-10. We had just completed a pass that was going to give us 1st and 10 inside the 20-yard line with under 4 minutes to play. But as he tried to extend the play, Nico Collins gets hit and fumbles the football. Jacksonville recovers. We could have ran the clock down, got a game-winning field goal or a touchdown. No, we turn it over, and Jacksonville goes down and scores to beat us in that one. So why am I trying this again? Well, it's the spot. And you look at this one, the 49ers somehow, despite all the injuries that they have had, are sitting at 3-0. More importantly, they're 2-0 in their division. And here's where the sandwich part comes up. They're 2-0 in the division. They just got done beating Arizona last week. They already beat Seattle the first week of the season. They play their other division rival, the team that most people expect to challenge them for the division this year, the Rams, next week. So definitely that's a look-ahead spot. Oh, when do they play them? Oh, they play them on Thursday Night Football next week. So they got to play in a short week. I think this is a great spot for Jacksonville to come in. They got a win that they didn't deserve last week. And I love taking teams. You hear me talk about it all the time. Oh, I want to go against the team that looked good in losing. Well, there's a second half of that. I like to take a team that looked bad in winning because people underestimate them. I'll go ahead and take Jacksonville plus the points here. The 49ers rushed for 77 and 73 yards in the last 2 games. You can't be one-dimensional in the NFL and win, especially with a backup quarterback. And oh, by the way, yeah, they won with a backup quarterback last week, Mac Jones. What do we always say about injured player theory? When you lose a quarterback, I like to take the injured team the first week. Well, they got the win last week with Mac Jones. Now they got to win a second one with Mac Jones. I'll go against them. Give me Jacksonville. Let's see if they stick it to me one more time. Jacksonville, 27-20.
I like Jacksonville too, Marco. They owe us this one. VR, you've got I'm going to call it the wise guy game of the week. I think this is going to be all of the sharps are going to be on one side. All of the squares are going to be on the other. But I don't know if I trust the New York Giants. Can you please break this down a little bit? And then I may give you some pushback afterwards.
Listen, I'm going to keep it this simple. It's as simple as this. Bring me Jackson Dart. The Jackson Dart era begins on Sunday. That's the key here. Coupled with the Chargers getting some injuries that are starting to mount up. And this is coming from someone that has a future on the Chargers, So I have over season win totals on the Chargers. I have a future on the Chargers to win the Super Bowl. So it benefits me for the Chargers to be biased towards them. But this is just a really good spot for the Giants. Also, if you listen to the narrative of how well over the last 5+ years, West Coast teams flying to the East Coast, how that used to be a disadvantage, that's no longer the case. Now how they're covering, all that's juiced this line up to much higher than it should be. The Giants at home should not be catching 6.5 points, almost a full touchdown through the Chargers, especially with Jackson Dart coming in. Here's the key. From going from your one quarterback to your two, the points is based on the drop-off, not just like who that first quarterback is. And the drop-off between Dart and Russell Wilson right now, what is it? Is it really a loss? Is it really a negative? Maybe the Russell Wilson, if you look at his whole career, it may be in the future, but as of today, right now, the way Russell Wilson's playing, how's this a drop-off? His quarterback rating in the last game was 43.8. He threw 32 attempts, 18 completions for 56%. Against Washington, he had a 59 quarterback rating. He threw the ball 37 times, had 17 completions for 45% completion percentage. Where's the drop-off? And that's what this line reflects, a big drop-off. I get it. Dart doesn't have the pro experience, but he's not there by accident. He's their number one pick. Good career with Ole Miss, USC. So, he's bred to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I think it's something I've learned from Marco, almost the injured player theory, where everyone else knows they have to step up because now we don't have our starting quarterback. We don't have our stud, even though he hasn't been a stud this year. So I like this 0-3 versus 3-0. I like the Giants at home. This is only their second home game. And I think the Chargers, as well as they played, the injuries are starting to pile up. And Habers, he's going to regress a little bit to the mean. He can't stay perfect. So give me the 6.5 with the Giants. Sprinkle that money line. This is going to be the teaser special of the week. Chargers will be on every teaser, and it's a terrible bet. Even at 7, it's a terrible teaser, even if it wins. So give me the Giants, New York Giants. So we're on the Jets and the Giants. There you go.
Oh my gosh.
The New York parlay.
Yeah, the New York gross parlay. BR, I'm going to push back just a little bit. I do agree with you here on the Giants. I understand this is a terrible spot to lay it with the Chargers. Here's my problem. 17-35-1. That is the record of NFL rookie starting quarterbacks in their debut. I understand the pushback is going to be, we don't need the Giants to cover. We don't need the Giants to win. We just need the Giants to cover. But does that rookie record, maybe it just is like looming in the background? You know what I mean? Like that's what's going on in the back of my head.
I know. No, it's scary. Listen, getting a rookie quarterback in the NFL in his first start is usually a handicapper's fade. But I just think that the spread is the great equalizer here. And I think that at the very least, the back door is going to stay open the entire game. And
listen, I can rest assure you that in the red zone, he's not going over. Okay. He's not going, if Jackson Dart takes off and his name isn't Russell Wilson, that's a touchdown. I agree. I agree with the move to Jackson Dart. I just have some concerns that Russell looked so good against that awful Dallas defense. And
that was it. That one game.
I'm with you. All right, let's get into my barking dog. And I went back and forth to kind of decide which barking dog I wanted to use, what I was going to use for my best bet. And ultimately, I decided that the Cleveland, good grief, that was last week, that the Indianapolis Colts was going to be my play. Look, we just talked about how bad the Giants have looked. Maybe somebody owes Daniel Jones an apology. We'll see how that ends up playing. But this is more of a play against the Rams. They're back home now after back-to-back road games in that Eastern early window. How quickly can they put that loss behind them? I don't know if you guys watched End Zone Live with me and the Prez and everybody else on Sunday, but that was incredible. That was a crazy game where millions of dollars change hands. And I know I come on here and I complain about my losses and never say, holy crap, I should go buy a lotto ticket, but I should. Cashing that Philadelphia Eagles ticket was an absolute utter miracle. But I don't know how quickly Los Angeles can move on from that, right? Let's start off with who they've played so far besides the Eagles, the Titans and the Dolphins. I think that their metrics might be a little skewed, but the Colts on offense so far, number 2 in EPA per play, number 2 in success rate, number 1 in EPA per pass attempt, number 1 in passing success rate, and number 5 in EPA per rush attempt. I know that there is a whole argument that's going to say, oh, this is not the time to take the Colts. They're way too overrated. No, I think this is the time to take the Colts. I think you take the Colts plus 3.5, and I think you sprinkle them on that money line. Now, Marco, normally I would write you a letter and say, or a text message, excuse me, and say, Marco, you can't use the same game the VR used, or VR, you got to change because Marco had it in the script first. But I got to make you answer to this New York Giants play as well, because again, it is the sharp square play of the week. You both like it. I know Teddy talked about it on opening line report this week. Didn't say he was going to necessarily play it, but mentioned the tough spot here for the Chargers. Tell me why the deli is closed and you're going with the trap game of the week here.
It's a trap.
Well, the deli's closed because if I used the Giants as the sandwich game, the health department would have closed us down. But man, this is the classic trap situation, and it's all about scheduling and what is in store for the Chargers. And God bless them if they can go cross country this week and win in New York after the gauntlet of their first 3 games of the season. Then you know what? Maybe you better run to the window and grab some future tickets on them for the Super Bowl, because that will be quite the accomplishment. And let's look at what they've had to do. They opened the season against the Kansas City Chiefs, okay, the team that's gone to the Super Bowl 3 years in a row. They had to give up a home game to go to Brazil to play a division game. That should never happen, that any of these games that you play out of the country is a division game. Well, that was the first check mark for getting screwed. Then they come back after playing the Brazil game. They had to play Monday Night Football on the road against the Raiders in Pete Carroll's coaching debut, home debut. Okay, they handled business there, or maybe we should say the Raiders lost that game because the Raiders were pathetic in that game. Then what they have to do after that, they finally get a true home game. They got to play the Denver Broncos, everybody's other darling, who was going to challenge Kansas City this year. Well, that was a dogfight. It was a physical game. It went right down to the end, and they come from behind and kick the game-winning field goal at the gun. How do you pick yourself up after 3 grueling games like that? Not to mention, those were 3 division games. They have such a leg up in the AFC West. It isn't funny. You beat all 3 teams already in your division. Now you go on the road to play in the Eastern time zone against an NFC team. How many times have I told you? The least important game on a team's schedule every year is a non-conference road game. That's the bottom of the list when they get 2 tiebreakers at the end of the season. There's just no way that I can see. And if Harbaugh has them ready to play, God bless him, he's a better motivator than I give him credit for. But this is just an absolute flat spot for them. Now, there is going to be a little bit of a hoopla. Maybe that is what he can use to get his team sparked with the fact that Jackson Dart is starting. They're going to, it's an unknown commodity. And you can say, hey, guys, we can't take them for granted. But here's the reality of that. Starting a rookie quarterback, and Kelly, you put that stat out there, and that is true. But here's the difference. They have been grooming him to start. He's seen action. They've brought him in certain plays. The last few games, they've had plays in their arsenal for him to get his feet wet. You knew this day was coming. It was just a question of when. Well, the when is now. What do you prepare for? Yeah, they showed a couple things on the gimmick plays they ran with him. Did he even throw a pass? Everything was a running play. You don't know what plays they're going to call for him as the starting quarterback. And I think that gives them an element of surprise. And also, they're playing with free money here because nobody's going to expect anything. You're already 0-3. Give me the Giants. This is a trap game for the Chargers. I'll take the 6 points, 6.5. And as VR said, I expect it to get to 7 by Sunday. With the public is only going to bet this game one way. If you got to hold your nose to get to the window, go ahead. But I'm taking the Giants.
All right. Oh, boy. I'm going to hold my nose all right, Marco, because that one makes me very, very nervous. That being said, I don't disagree with both of you guys there. If you don't disagree with Marco and VR, we have a Bet On It all access football special for you guys right now. That means you get every NFL, every college football play they release through the Super Bowl, including those 5% best bets. If you purchase each package separately, pay $739 each. But with this offer, you get all their plays for $11.98. That makes it $5.99 each. Not that great at math, but it looks close to being a $300 savings. You get full access to both handicappers at an unbeatable value. Marco, 5% plays, 32-13 since February 2024. VR, right now, #1 in college football season, up 68 units. Make sure you guys get on board over at WagerTalk.com. Let's get into those best bets. VR, I'm going to let you go first here, per usual. Tell me why we're taking the Chiefs. I like this.
Yeah, and I actually sent that out today to subscribers. That's why I changed it, made this my best bet. 4%. If you could get threes out there, if you even 115 at Westgate, but even the 2.5 that are at -105s, again, if you're not laying more than 130, you're good. Otherwise, take the 2.5. But I don't think we're going to need it here with the Chiefs. Bottom line, this Baltimore team, there's 1 and 2 teams, but they're both top 10 still power rated. That's why this game really matters. The team that goes to 2-2 is like still has a season. The one that goes to 1 and 3, it's going to be really hard to bounce back for. This is a big, big game. And we have a Chiefs team, even though they're on the road, you know how Mahomes tends to do. I mean, what's it called? That playing at home, Mahomes in a big game, he's gotten it done for us time and time again. If you look at the defense of Baltimore, okay, they gave up 38 to Detroit, all right, 41 to Buffalo, 17 to Cleveland. And you know the most that Cleveland scored so far this season? 17. That was against Baltimore. Kansas City's going to be able to finally put up some points. And this offense isn't as bad as they're being made out to be. They're still near top 10 in most of the metrics that matter. And I think against this defense, they're really going to shine. On the flip side, I think they're going to be just fine. Kansas City, top 5 in efficiency. In fact, they're number 3 right now. So I get it. Baltimore is one of the best offenses in all of the NFL, top 5 every year. But they're going on the road, and they're playing a top 5 defense in the Chiefs. I love Kansas City in this spot. I think even last week against the Giants, it was a win where their stock didn't really rise. Like, I mean, the Giants were a touchdown away from backdoor covering it for a quarter plus. So, yeah, I think this offers a lot of value for the Chiefs. I will go even as far as saying I think this should be a pick 'em at worst. So take the Chiefs, sprinkle that money line, and let's cash a best bet with Mahomes in Kansas City on Sunday.
I do like that side. Got to get ahead of that number, guys. If you can find a 3, check out oddslogic.com/Kelly in Vegas. If you guys are looking for a 7-day free trial over there, Marco D'Angelo, I know I mentioned that you and VR have a promo package up together. What about somebody who's looking for something for this weekend over at WagerTalk.com, and then give me your best bet for NFL Week 4?
Well, Kelly, the Weekend Warrior package, people absolutely love it. You get your favorite capper, $49. It locks you in for every college and NFL play Saturday and Sunday. And as a bonus, you'll get, if they have a Monday night football selection as well. Guess what? There's 2 Monday night games this week. Not exactly the best Monday night games, but you get 2 of them. I guess quantity's better than quality for this Monday night. And Kelly, we are the last 2 seasons number 2 college and pro combined, money won. So check it out in 5% plays. We've been dead on. We did lose one last week, a rare one, as we mentioned in the other show, with the Houston Texans fumbling the game away for us, 3 turnovers, but we will bounce back this week. We had a great college week last week, and let's keep it going. Speaking of keeping it going, 5-1 last week with the plays here on the show, and we're going to go with the best bet. And before you start putting in the comment section, oh, he's a homer. No, he ain't, because I went against the Steelers the first 2 weeks of the season. We didn't have a play last week with them, but we're 2-0 going against the Steelers. But this week, I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're playing in Dublin. Now, I got to figure out if I'm going to get up at the crack of dawn to watch the Steelers here on the West Coast on Sunday morning. But this is a spot where it's as much going against the Minnesota Vikings as it is taking Pittsburgh. We've seen the market move on this game, and I always say, no team is as good as their best game, nor are they as bad as their worst game. And the market is overreacting to that 48-10 win by the Vikings last week. And remember, we had the Vikings as our best bet, so I enjoyed it. But I'll be the first to tell you, yeah, they dominated the game. Yes, they won by a landslide. But that game was won because of 5 turnovers by the Cincinnati Bengals. Carson Wentz filled in for J.J. McCarthy, and before everybody starts making the Minnesota coach the quarterback whisper, let's see another game from Carson Wentz. There's a reason Carson Wentz is playing for his 6th NFL team in 6 years, okay? I don't buy that he'll have that same type of game this week. He's not going to be gifted good field position all over the place. Aaron Rodgers is not Jake Browning. He will not be rattled. Plus the fact, let's not forget how many times Aaron Rodgers has faced this Minnesota defense from his days with Green Bay. You've seen the market take Pittsburgh from a small favorite to now a 2.5-point underdog. Everybody wants Minnesota, and I know VR mentioned it in his Steam report, but I think it's an overreaction to 1 week. I'll take the Steelers here. And as I said in an earlier game, let's not forget that injured player theory. The way we work that system is we take the injured team in week 1 because everybody rises to the occasion, steps up to compensate for the loss of your quarterback. But if they get the win in week 1, it's a 2-part system. We go against that team the next week because they don't have that same intensity. I'll go ahead, take Pittsburgh. Let's call it 27-20. Pittsburgh gets the win. And one other thing of playing in Dublin and traveling, there's not a team in the NFL that travels better with their fans than the Pittsburgh Steelers. How many times you see them in road games, no matter what city they're in, you see those terrible towels. A lot of people made this trip to Dublin. They'll be there in full force. Take the Steelers.
All right. Steelers look like a nice teaser option, Marco. I'll leave it at that. I may be here even on the East Coast, not up early enough for that game. I don't know why we keep doing things internationally, but we are. So God bless all of you that are willing to get up at 6 a.m. Pacific to watch the Steelers play. All right. I will get into my best bet here. This is just as gross as watching the Steelers play. And actually, it's probably even worse. And I'm wearing a purple jacket. So sorry, Marco, if it looks like I'm cheering for Minnesota in that one. All right. The Raiders. Yeah, I know. No one wants to take the Raiders. DraftKings is holding a +1.5, -120, while the rest of the market on odds logic screen is at a pick'em. I think that's very, very interesting. They're begging for Raiders money, and I don't blame them. How good Did the Cowboys make Caleb Williams look last week? Yeah, that's exactly how it panned out. 31-14 when it was 14-14, and the Dallas Cowboys defense just absolutely let the wheels fall off. And then no CeeDee Lamb. But Dak Prescott still completed 31 of 40 attempts, and Javonte Williams still got 7.6 yards per carry on the ground. Geno Smith looked awful on that Monday Night Football game against the Chargers and did not look great last week, or did he? Last week versus the Commanders, the Raiders offense 5.7 yards per play. Geno Smith 19 of 29, almost 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and yay, finally, no interceptions. Raiders defense has some holes, but the Bears are still 4-14 in September. Do not overreact to one good game against that Dallas defense. Raiders win this game. Look, take the 1.5 minus 120, take the pick 'em. Maybe even wait. Maybe the Raiders will move to 1.5 plus 1.5 here at home across the board, and you can put them in a teaser. I don't think that's going to be the case, though. I think Raiders right now are the play as a pick 'em. Let's bring back in the guys for this recap of NFL Week 4. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us here every single week here on Bet On. Again, give us that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. Let's get that recap graphic up for everybody who's asked for it. If you guys have something else you want to see here on Bet On It, drop it in the comment section. We always try to respond to you guys. And of course, if you missed the college football edition of Bet On It, it is right here. And be on the lookout for that mega show. That's right. We're going to have the deli. We're going to have Ralph's T&A. We're going to have college football and NFL combined. We've also got Teddy's Stock Watch all together, prepackaged in one large show. Or if you're a WagerTalk insider, WT.buzz/insiders. $2.99 a month gets you access to all sorts of fun things. Last week, it got you a free access to VR Steam Room. It's going to get you the TNA from Ralph Michaels first and foremost, so you don't have to go searching for it. We're going to throw the deli in there, maybe Teddy's Stock Watch, and much more for you guys. So WT.buzz/insider if you guys are looking to join the club. Good luck this week. And until next week, let's bet on it.